welcome back. We are here in the studio with Mr. Comedian Jay Stein. And Jay, so we were just talking about, the situation on the college campuses, college protests, demonstrations. And Jay, you were saying how this is sort of like it's almost like a relationship between two people romantically. It's like a codependent, toxic relationship. Unpack that a little more for us, will you? Yeah, so, I'll give you a perfect example. My ex, it's been almost 4 years since we broke up, but, she was, she was by far the most clingy and just, honestly, when I think about it, bizarre person. I'm glad we cut things off. We were only together for 2.5 years. But yeah, she was nuts. It goes to show you got to be careful with those young Jewish women, right? But she would do things like, she'd, for example, she'd say something, we're in the kitchen. She'd say something about one dish not being super clean. And instead of saying something like, "Hey, could you, be a little more respectful," or she looks for a way to target me and get me in this oh yeah, you're guilty, you did this, it's your fault kind of situation, where I'm just like, homie, we're done. Why am I dealing with this bullshit? It really is why I only date men. Yeah, the thing with relationships is we have this collective identity and we have a relationship with that, right? So it's one thing to have a relationship with ourselves, which is to me the most important thing. That's the highest of values. And if you and yourself and you are on good terms, that starts a new dialogue that at least has the ability to open up a new dialogue to connect with other people. I think that's what we strive for, right? The college campus protests, the recent, pro-Palestine demonstrations, notably on Columbia, would you say this is a broader phenomenon? Is this part of a bigger movement? Is this not moving us towards a civil war? Let's put it that way. Are we already at the brink of a civil war because of other things maybe Donald Trump and pro-Trumpers versus anti-Trumpers, whatever? Is this a separate issue, or is this more part of it? We're kind of in this cold civil war, right? I've thought about that, right? I remember learning about the Civil War, back in 10th, 11th grade, high school, and it was why do they call it something? I thought when you're being civil, you're supposed to be diplomatic, peaceful. Yeah, okay, well, that's a joke. Anyhow, yeah, if we're talking about the Civil War in American history, okay, so you got 5 years or so of warfare between what was the Confederacy and the Union. That was very straightforward. It was clear cut. It was a war about a question whether to keep or abolish slavery, and this was all about the economy, because the enslaved persons were essentially helping fuel the economy. It was a question of, is this going to continue to be an exploitative economy, or are we going to make things more equal for everybody? So yeah, by mid to late 1860s, things in America started to shift. Right, I see. And then from the Reconstruction period, past Jim Crow, and finally with MLK in the late 60s, the 1960s, it's one of the most historic periods of American history, because you can't have full American, never mind equality, but just, you can't have a value system or even an American identity if you don't rid away with the stupid law, but also very discriminatory and hurtful law that says, well, another human being, because of their color or race, is 3/5, 3/5, not 5/5, not one whole, but 3/5 of a person, you know, give me a fucking break. So, and it took us a long time as a country to finally move past this. This only happened, you know, only 55 years ago or so, like almost, you know, 60 years ago, not even. So it's recent. And so for us, we're still collectively, I think, in the trauma, you know, of that narrative. You know, I think we have been at a cold civil war for years, but the reality is, you know, and I hope and pray we're not gonna ever like fight that out, right? Whether it's with guns or knives or whatever, muskets. I pray that we don't. We've got enough violence in this world to go around for you know the rest of humanity's existence. So for what that's worth, but yeah, you know, I just think people need to find better ways of expressing their aggression. You know, like go to the gym, work out, go hiking. There's plenty of things you can do, right? It's also so sad because you're being brainwashed by a terrorist organization. That's what I just don't, you know, boggles my mind. But anyway, yeah, but for those who are still searching for what it is they want to do, I would say, yeah, like get all of that aggression and energy, like get that out. You need to exert that, especially as a young 20-something-year-old. I respect that. This gives our viewers some interesting things to think about. We are going to have to leave it there, unfortunately. What a very stimulating conversation. Jay, it has been such a pleasure to have you here. Please do come back. You are always welcome. Yeah, it was a real pleasure, and yeah, thanks again for having me. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you real soon.